So yes, he says that there are certain basic goods or objective goods. You can also say basic values, okay? And along with that, there are certain methodological requirements. And what are those? Okay, he says a set of basic methodological requirements of practical reasonableness. I haven't explained these ideas yet, so hold your horses for now. So practical reasonableness itself is a basic good, okay? So which he distinguishes, okay, by virtue of which he distinguishes a sound from an unsound practical thinking, and which, when all things are brought to bear, provide the criteria for distinguishing between acts that are reasonable, all things considered, and between ways of acting that are morally right or morally wrong, and thus enabling one to formulate a set of general moral standards. So in a simpler way for understanding of simpler minds like us, what he is essentially saying is that you have certain basic goods, you apply those methodological requirements that we will come to in a while, okay? And if you apply them in the right way, if you apply your practical reasonableness, okay, which is a basic good, as he says, okay, if you apply it in the right way, okay, then you come to right conclusions about what you ought to do. So when he says what you ought to do with your life, he is talking about, okay, what's the right thing to do, what I ought not to do, you will come to right conclusions about them. So these are the two things that he essentially talks about, okay? So while he does so, one thing that he successfully does is escape from the problem that Hume raises, that one cannot go from an is to an ought, okay? Because when you have basic goods already, okay, and he says that basic goods are the things that you ought to, pursue in life, okay, because that leads to human flourishing, then you are not jumping from certain factual premise to factual premise to a moral premise, but you are essentially jumping directly from one objective good in the light of practical reasonableness principle that we will talk about to a moral conclusion. So you are not jumping from is to ought, rather from a kind of ought to another ought, okay? So he is escaping that Humean problem of us not being able to jump from an is to an ought. Whether he successfully does it or not, we will look into that in a little while. Probably time will not allow us today. So yes, so Finnis, he essentially circumvents this problem of drawing an ought from is. So he says that these principles of natural law, okay, the new idea of natural law, okay, that he is giving you, okay, he is describing to you, okay, are not derived from something else, okay, they are not to be derived from observing the factual world. No, you're not doing that, because that's what Hume says you can't. He rather says that these are self-evident, these are just out there. If you care to look for them, you will find them, okay? So these objective goods that he is talking about, these basic goods that he was talking about earlier, from which you derive moral conclusion, are self-evident in nature, okay? So those self-evident basic goods will be able to direct you towards what is the right thing to do. So that's how he avoids this paradox which is created by this guy, David Hume. So let's start with what are objective goods or basic values. Okay, so I just told you that Finnis says that basic values or objective goods are self-evident goods. Okay, so what do I mean by self-evidence? So if I ask you to prove that something that you are observing exists, all you can say is that, well, my sensory perception is telling me that this exists. What more proof do you expect of that? Okay, if I ask you to prove that deductive logic works, you will just give me an illustration of how deductive logic works. You won't be able to give me anything other than that. So I have to believe that deductive logic works. Okay. So and then, so for example, you say that 2 and 2 is 4. You will just show me how you calculated that. If I don't believe in that, what else can you tell me to prove that 2 plus 2 equates to 4? Okay. So in all these examples that I just struggled giving you, all I was trying to tell you is that I have no other proof of that. It's just self-evident. This is how things are. Okay. This is so that's it. I can't have any more. So for example, I cannot have a reasonable discussion with you if we do not agree on the idea of existence of logic. If one of us do not believe in the idea of logic, then we will not be able to have any reasonable discussion. Okay. So we all have to believe that yes, logic exists, or 2 plus 2 is 4, or what we experience is in fact the case. Okay. But not necessarily always, though. As you know, our experiences are also limited. So I'm pretty much aware of that. But apart from all those externalities, we can conquer that, what we observe is the reality. If we do not accept that, then we fall in certain kind of, philosophical trap. I'm not going to go into that. But then in all these examples that I tried to give you, I was telling you that these are cases of self-evidence. Okay. We do not have any more explanation for that. Just like that, okay, just like that, Finnis is telling you that objective goods are self-evident goods. Okay, I cannot give you any more reason than that they are self-evident. Okay, so this is something that you can that you will know as you mature in your life. You will know what objective goods are. Okay, so when I say they're objective, all I'm saying is that they're self-evident and that they're not predicated on something else. They are just the way they are. Okay, so that's what objective goods are. Okay, so and why at all are we talking about objective goods? I can say what's the use of objective goods, but not in an utilitarian sense of the term, because if I'm using the word use in the utilitarian sense of the term, then I'm negating the entire enterprise of Finnis. So when I say why the hell are we talking about objective goods? So Finnis would tell you that objective goods will make your life worthwhile. Okay, it's what makes your life desirable. If objective goods do not exist, okay, if you're not pursuing any of these objective goods, it's not a life worth desiring. Okay, so that's what he's talking about. Objective goods make your life worthwhile. Okay, it's what makes your life desirable. So if you remember, Hume was talking about desire first. Okay, unlike him, this fella, our philosopher John Finnis, he says that no, we do not start with desire. These objective goods, these basic values direct us towards the right desire. Okay, so presence of objective goods, okay, will make your life worthwhile. And if you do not have them, it's an undesirable life, as he would say, as I understood him saying. So yes, so he says objective goods are the qualities. Okay, these are qualities which make anything desirable. Okay, so you do not start with desire, because we have seen when someone says that give me a plate of rotten fish, or a plate of or a saucer of mud, well, one would say that, well, this is just as good as asking for sushi. Yes, one got hungry the other day and I mentioned about sushi. But then you see that there is a difference here between these two. Okay, that we can understand one desire but cannot understand that. Okay, why is that the problem? Finnis would say that because we are not starting with goods, we are just starting with desires. Okay, so that's what he's essentially saying, that it's the objective goods that make your life worthwhile, desirable. Okay, so it's, as I said, okay, because they are self-evident, they cannot possibly be based on any agreement that you and I think that, okay, these are objective goods. Based on your and my, agreement, we cannot come to right conclusions about what objective goods are. Okay, they are to be presupposed. Okay, as I said, for us to have a reasonable, meaningful conversation, we have to believe that logic is correct, logic works. Okay, now what proof can I give to you to say that logic is in fact the truth? We just have to believe that, well, this is the structure, this is the parameter within which we have to play our game. Okay, so that's it. You have to accept it. Okay, just like that. Okay, so he's saying that basic goods or objective goods are indemonstrable, they are presupposed. Okay, when I say presupposed, I'm not saying that they are arbitrary presupposition. No, they're not, because those are again will be based on your desires. Okay, will be subjective. So these cannot be subjective according to Finnis, not according to me. So he says further that it involves asking whether something is in itself a good. So when I say what objective goods are, he's essentially saying that so when you ask what objective goods are, you are essentially asking whether something is in itself a good. Okay, not because it has this effect or that effect. Okay, so it is not consequentialist, it is not utilitarian, that okay, something is good only if it has certain beneficial effect. No, he's not talking about objective goods in that consequentialist or utilitarian sense of the term. Okay, he's merely saying that it's innately good. Okay, it's inherently good. Okay, it's good in itself. Okay, not because of some consequences, good or bad, that it ensues. He's not talking about that. Okay, so that's what objective goods or basic values are. So are you guys with me so far? Were you guys able to understand what I was trying to explain to you, what Finnis had to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so others, what about the others?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can say that that's nonsense. You can say that okay, Finnis is saying something nonsense. How can we say that there are objective goods? Okay, if it is not based on the consequences that it ensues. You can say that as well if there are anyone among you who doesn't believe in the idea of objective goods. Just think about it for yourself. Okay, he says that everything else doesn't matter. Okay, the consequences don't matter. There are certain goods which are objectively good. Okay, and we decide what we ought to do in our life in the light of those basic goods. Whereas there are others who would say that no, it's not about, there is no such thing called objective goods. It's only based on what consequences that it ensues, whether it increases pleasure or pain. Okay, that's what is going to tell us what is the right thing to do. Whereas Finnis would tell you that no, it will be based on whether it is in relation of certain objective goods or not. Okay, so these are the two different positions that I'm introducing to you guys a little early. So yes, I hope you guys have understood what objective goods are, or what basic values are, as Finnis is referring to. Now, our philosopher, based on his experience, okay, because you need experience to know what, not experience in the conventional sense of the term, you just need experience in life to be able to tell us what are those objective goods. So he identifies 7 different objective goods. Okay, so these 7 different objective goods are objectively true. Okay, so what are those? He starts with life. Okay, so life is objective, the first objective good. Okay, we are able to have this discussion. Okay, this is possible only because we are living beings. A discussion of such sort is not happening between these 2 notebooks. It's not happening. Okay, so you have to take life as a given here. Okay, if you question the very existence of life, then it just falls apart. Okay, because no such thing, okay, such conversation, discussion will be possible. So that's what I'm saying, that you have to appreciate the fact that you are alive, that you have a life. Okay, that's the first and most important basic value that Finnis is talking about. Apart from that, there are other basic values that he has identified. I think we have short past our time limit for today, so I'll just mention those and then we will start tomorrow. So those other basic goods are knowledge, play, aesthetic experience, sociability, practical reasonableness, and religion. Okay, so these are the seven basic goods that Finnis identifies. So in the next class, we will be discussing about them. So kindly go back and refer to the relevant reading from the book that I had shared with you guys earlier. So kindly go back and read it from the book. And then tomorrow we'll be able to have meaningful discussion. And kindly take your studies seriously. I don't want to waste my time sermonizing you guys. So take care. Good day.